Okay, what's going on, everybody? We're here, we're alive. Hopefully, you all can see and hear me clearly. If you can, please hit the one to let me know that you can see and hear me clearly, and then we'll get into today's show. If it looks like I'm in an interrogation room, I'm not. I'm safe. I'm not being held hostage. It's just raining really hard out here right now in Los Angeles. So, though I do have lighting, the natural lighting is still very important to get that crisp look, and I don't have that right now, so it looks like I'm in an interrogation room, but I'm not. I'm safe. I'm not being held hostage. I see the ones are coming in. That's good. That's good. That's good. Okay, so we can get into today's show now. Well, before we get into today's show, please make sure you hit the like button if you haven't already. Hit the subscribe button if you're new to the channel, and also make sure that you share this video out. Now, what we're going to be discussing today, and thank you very much, Lloyd Sky 9, for the super chat. Your contributions to the channel are very much needed and appreciated, and it does not go unseen, and it humbles me when those of you feel that I'm worthy enough of your support. So thank you very much, Lloyd Sky 9, and all those who support the channel. So as you can see, today's show is titled No Reparations or Tangibles for You. Vivek Ramaswamy, I believe his name is, on the Republican side, announced, it was about 3 weeks ago. So this isn't new concerning him, but he announced about 3 weeks ago, I think it was maybe 2 weeks ago, that he was running for president. And I want to get into some of the things that he said, because he was doing a lot of dog whistling. And I think that going through the dog whistling that he was doing, in my opinion, I think is very important, just so you know kind of the key things to look out for when people are talking about you without talking about you. You get what I'm saying? And I also want to get into Marianne Williamson as well. Marianne Williamson is running for president again. She did so last election in 2020. And one of the things that she's known for, at least on this side of the algorithm, is that she's known for, supporting reparations. I remember last election, people were kind of on the fence about her. Some people got behind her and supported her, and some people didn't. One of the things that was a red flag to me, I remember in 2020 when she was running, was, if I'm not mistaken, and I'm pretty sure that I'm not, I believe she was doing a interview with Antonio Moore, if I remember correctly, back in 2020. And in the interview with her, he made reference to HBCUs, and she didn't know what a HBCU was. That was a red flag to me. Though that's not the biggest deal in the world, and it wasn't the biggest deal in the world to me back then, it still kind of stood out to me as odd. At the same time, that's not a reason to not get behind and support people. But one of the things that really stood out to me the most, particularly right now, is that upon her announcing that she was running for president, right? Again, there was someone on Twitter who pointed out that she didn't have reparations as an issue on her campaign page, right? Somebody had highlighted that on Twitter. So I thought to myself, oh, well, that's interesting, because she's the reparations lady, right? She says she supports reparations, So I went and I looked into it a little bit, and I just wanted to show you what I found on her page concerning reparations. And when I titled this show No Reparations for You, it was mainly in reference to her, based off of what I saw on her campaign page, right? Or lack thereof, what wasn't there, right? So let's get into that. I want to pull up her campaign page. So give me just a moment. So here is Marianne Williamson's campaign page. Right? And let me go over to this portion as well, so I can see for myself. Okay. So once again, this is her campaign page, right? And to me, in my opinion, how I feel about it, all of these things I'm going to show you are red flags, and they all highlight to me that for her, reparations is not priority. And it's more or less something that she's saying just to say, because it sounds good. She might think or feel that it's the right and moral thing to do, but it's not a priority for her, right? It's not a priority. And that's the main thing that we're going to get into, because if it's not a priority for her, let's just say she becomes a president and gets into office, which I highly doubt is going to happen, right? But let's just say that she does. There's so much going on in the world, let alone in this country, for reparations to not be at the top of your priority list just means that and or anything else concerning doing something specific to remedy the ills of white supremacy in the Black community, it's just going to be a non-priority for her. She's not going to get to anything. She won't be doing anything for you. She'll just be running you around in circles like all the other Democrats do, right? But here, let's get into issues. So you come over here and you hit issues, and right off the bat, I don't see reparations anywhere on here, right? Now you might say that, oh, that's kind of trivial and you're being nitpicky. But to me, that means something. You know, I have a website, I run websites, as well as you could just look at my YouTube page, right? And when you go to the homepage on my YouTube page, what I have front and center, meaning the first thing that you see on my YouTube page when you get there, I have the page structured in that fashion for a reason, right? It's not by happenstance the way in which I have my main page on my YouTube channel structured. There are very specific things that I want to highlight to you and that I want you to see, right? There's a reason that I have the Tavis Smiley interview that I did front and center, the first thing that people see when they come to my YouTube channel. There's a reason for that. It's not just because, right? It's because you're making a statement. And particularly as it pertains to my YouTube page, when people who are particularly new come to my channel for the first time and they're considering subscribing and they see me and Tavis having a conversation, what that shows to them, or at least the message that I'm trying to convey to them, is that I'm somebody who's serious and I'm somebody who's worthy of being taken serious. And I'm somebody who is worthy of your subscription and somebody who's worth listening to, you know, by way of my, you could say, connection to Tavis Smiley. You see how that works? Like you use these things in your favor to build yourself up. But the point that I'm making is that's the reason that I have my page structured the way it is. So these things matter, right? So when you come here and you look at the issues section and you don't see reparations anywhere on there, but she has disability justice, right? She has LGBTQIA plus rights. She has Native American justice, right? She has women's rights and everything else that you can say is more of a national issue. She has it all right there. She's telling you off top what her priorities are, okay? But now, okay, maybe I'm just being nitpicky. Maybe I'm just doing too much. All right, maybe I'm doing too much. Well, let's click on the issues. All right. Now, when you get to the issues page, and thank you for I'll start saying the first names now because I always feel like mean for not saying, or like I'm kind of bogus for not saying who supported me on Cash App. Thank you, Terry, for supporting me on Cash App with your contribution to the channel. It's definitely appreciated. Thank you very much, Terry. You're here on the issues page now, right? So now let me scroll down. I'm going to scroll down. And we see here featured policies front and center, whole health plan, U.S. Department of Children and Youth, and the working economy. That's fine. I get it. You want to highlight first and foremost the things that you're doing for the country as a whole. I'm not stupid, okay? I get it. I understand why you need to have that featured policies, that as your featured policies front and center. I don't expect her to have reparations, particularly here when she's only highlighting 3 things front and center. But I did expect to see it when I highlight the issue section up here and you got justice for everybody else but Black Americans, right? But as far as this portion right here is concerned, I get it. Fine. That's cool. All right. But now let's scroll down over here to all policies. So now we're in the all policies section. And as we're in the all policies section, one of the things that I just, once again, some people might say is nitpicky. You don't see reparations popped up anywhere on here, right? In the all policy section. The all section is highlighted. Now, you do see it when you hit equity, right? Equity right here, and you see reparations. And then when you come over here and let's say you click all again, reparations, as you can see, will pop back up. All right. Follow me now, because I know it seems nitpicky, but follow me. But it pops back up. And now let's say you want to see, hey, well, I wonder what she has to say before I click on reparations. What does Marianne Williamson have to say on, the working economy, right? So you click on the working economy. And you scroll down and you see she's quoting Martin Luther King first and foremost, as everybody does. Everybody loves to use Martin Luther King, right? Everybody loves to pimp his name and his legacy. But he's quoted, and you see everything that she's going to do, blah, 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 concerning the working economy. But then when you go back, you'll see that once again, reparations is gone. It's not here anymore. It's no longer on the all section. When all is highlighted, it just keeps magically disappearing for whatever the reason being, right? Okay, TD, you're being too nitpicky. Yeah, come on, man. It's just a glitch, bro. It's just a glitch. You're doing too much, brother. You're doing too much. Okay. So now let's actually go to the pages, because I have them up here already. Disability justice, right? We're going to go through the justices that she has on here, all the justices that she's going to do, right? Disability justice. And you come on disability justice and you see she has, this is probably one of the longest pages that she has on her website concerning issues and what she's going to do for the disabled. All right. Great. Cool. I hope the disabled people get justice. Right on. I have no problem with that. All right. What is this one? Native American justice. All right. You come here to Native American justice, and she tells you what she thinks and how she feels concerning the Native Americans. She gets into specifics over here, what she's going to do specifically, right, for Native Americans concerning justice. Great. Cool. Everything looks perfect. Great. Hopefully, Native Americans will get their justice. I mean, they've kind of been getting it for quite some time now, but hey, I guess they need more of it, right? So hopefully they get their justice. Now, reproductive justice, right? Scroll down and you're seeing a lot of the same things. Specifics. She gets into the specifics of reproductive justice. And I know this seems, a little tedious and whatnot, but believe me when I tell you, I'm going somewhere with this. I'm going somewhere with this, because I know some of you all thought that I was just being nitpicky, but I'm not. I'm really not, because it all stands out to me concerning what her priorities are and the priorities of her team are. And you're not one of them, particularly reparations. Women's rights, right? Rebalancing female power and influence. So you go through the women's rights portion, and she tells you what she thinks, how she feels, and what she's going to do specifically concerning women's rights. Perfect. And we're almost there at reparations, okay? LGBTQIA plus rights. Same thing. You scroll, and you scroll some more, all right? Now, let's get to reparations. Here's her reparations page. I wish I had the sound effect. Bum, bum, ba-dum, bum. Why do I do that? Outside of the fact that this reparations page looks absolutely nothing like what was on her other pages, and this is still her website, she literally has nothing here. There's nothing on here. Bum, bum, ba-dum, bum. Reparations is not a priority for her, okay? It's a non-priority. She couldn't even be bothered to tell you what she thinks about reparations, what she's going to do about it. What are the specifics behind it? There's nothing here. It's a half, her face. She doesn't even have a full portrait of herself. Her face is half cut off. Okay. And it looks like this was like she copy pasted something that was an article written by Adam Schultz. Who's Adam Schultz? So is this from a blog? Did she copy paste something that was from a blog and put it here on her website? Are you serious? It's a non-priority for her. It's something that she's saying just to say, but she doesn't really mean it. Okay. And I want to prove to you, like you can see, this is still her website. Join us, right? This is still her website, Marianne 2024. This is still her website. You hit about, you see meet Marianne, why I'm running, issues. It's the same exact issues person. This is her issues section. This is her website, right? It's her website. But as you can see, it's a non-priority. She couldn't even be bothered to fix the web page completely, because when you see this here that says Divi on it, right? Divi, what you see right here, that's a theme. That's a WordPress theme. And what WordPress themes are are the equivalent of what you would call just simply a template. So if you were creating a WordPress site, you would select the theme that you want. The theme would be a Divi theme. Divi would be the company. And then from there, you select the theme, which is actually a template that you want. And that's the template that you'll be using to structure your website. She couldn't even be bothered to finish that portion of her website. She just left it in the default stage with nothing on there. So that tells you it's a non-priority. If that doesn't speak volumes to you, I don't know what else will. Because a lot of people can say a lot of different things. It doesn't mean that they're genuinely behind it. I wish that I still had it up of the one gentleman in 2020. Some of you may remember, some of you may not, because it's not like he was that popular of a guy. But I remember on the Democratic ticket, there were two, if I remember correctly, billionaires that were running, right? In 2020. There was Bloomberg that was running. And outside of Bloomberg, there was one more other guy, right? I wish I remember what the other guy's name was, and I wish I had the video up for you. Anybody who doubts me, then I'll look for it. I'll pull it up next live stream, in case you think I'm lying. But when he was on the debate stage, right, when they were having their Democratic debates and everybody's talking and telling you what they think and how they feel about different issues, out of desperation, because he didn't stand a chance in winning, out of desperation on the debate stage, he literally stood up there and he was out of desperation saying, I support reparations. I support reparations. I'm the only candidate up here that supports reparations. Like he was like really like stressing it really, really, really hard. And it was clearly out of desperation. He didn't have an actual plan for it because he had been asked whether or not he supported reparations numerous times. And he would always default and start talking about some, what is it called? Like a truth and reconciliation kind of a thing, where we need to learn about the history first. We got to learn about Black history first, and then we can get to reparations. But I do like the idea of HR 40. He kept giving that answer, but out of desperation just to stay in the race. He was just saying on the debate stage, yes, thank you very much. I don't know. I hope I'm saying your name right, brother. Nkosi, Kosi, maybe the N is silent. Kosi, yeah. Tom Steyer. Tom Steyer was his name. I'm glad you remembered his name. His name was Tom Steyer. Yes, L. That was Tom Steyer. That was his name. And he, it was out of complete desperation that he was saying it. Do you think he meant it? No. He was saying it just to say it. It wasn't a priority. And if it's not a priority, you can bet that he's not going to do anything about it, even if he was to win, which he wasn't. And for the record, we all know that Marianne Williamson doesn't stand a chance in heck in winning. She's not going to win. We all know that already. Her running for president is symbolic. And I guess it's cool to a degree, depending on what she's trying to accomplish. All right, I guess. But don't sit up here and tell me about reparations, that you apparently support it. And you apparently want to have this reckoning that needs to happen in the country concerning it. But then when I go to your website, as I showed you all, to find out about it, okay, well, what's your plan? What are you trying to do? Like, what's going on concerning reparations? I go to your website. You can tell me about everybody. You can tell me about your disability justice and what you're going to do for them. Huge page. You can tell me about, what page was this again? You can tell me about Native American justice. Huge page. Everything that you're going to do. I mean, these pages are huge. They're long. You can tell me about reproductive justice. These pages are huge. You can tell you about all that. I'm going to go through them again. You can tell me about women's rights. You can tell me about all of that. You can tell me about LGBTQIA plus rights. You can tell me about it all. And you can tell me specifically what you're going to do for all of them. But when I come specifically to your page to find out what's going on with reparations, there's nothing on here. She couldn't even be bothered to fix up and take this Divi theme off of the default stage, off of the default page. She couldn't even be bothered to do that, right? Like she did for everybody else, with a half portrait of herself and nothing else to show for it. So you're going to have to miss me with that Marianne Williamson stuff. You're going to have to miss me with it. Talk is cheap. I remember when Marcel started when he ran for Congress, right? When he had his run. And I remember when he had his run, and Marcel started to gain some steam, and started to gain a lot of attention online, and started to gain a huge following online, and started to get known and recognized. All of a sudden, you started to see a whole bunch of other people, right, who are like running for mayor in whatever, because they started contacting me after my first initial interview with Marcel. Somebody was running for mayor in some city. Somebody was running for, I don't know, city council in another place. And there was a bunch of people that were running in local elections. And they all were claiming that they were running on a reparations platform. And what I started to notice very quickly is that for a lot of these folks that were claiming to be running on a reparations platform like Marcel was, it was just a hustle. It was just a hustle. It was a way to get their clout up. It was a way to get their weight up. It was a way to get their money up. Hey, send me donations because I'm running for mayor on a reparations platform. I don't know if the brother's here right now. Some of you may know our good brother, Sincere, love to God. He has a good YouTube channel with him and a Nicety girl. I believe it's called like the Godcast or something like that, kind of like what Lord Jamar did, right? And he interviewed this one particular person that was running for mayor on a reparations platform, right? On a reparations platform. When he interviewed that man who was running on a reparations platform, the man literally had no plan for anything concerning what he was going to do as mayor of his city. Him, Sincere, and Nicety Girl, Sincere's co-host, they were literally hashing out his agenda for him on the live stream, in the middle of the live stream. Yet he was running on a reparations platform asking for donations. He wasn't sincere. Yeah, thank you, Sincere. Thank you for verifying that. Sincere remembers. Sincere remembers. He knows exactly who I'm talking about. Sincere, you probably don't remember the brother's name, but if you do, drop his name. But Sincere remembers him. Sincere and Nicety Girl, Sincere, let him know in the comment section, brother. He had no plan. He had no plan. He had Sincere and Nicety Girl hashing out his agenda for his whole city in the middle of a live stream, but he's running on a reparations agenda. It was a hustle. He was just trying to come up. And there's a lot of people that are out here playing that game that you're going to see playing that game, right? That are going to be running for local election, talking about they're running on a reparations platform, and they're just trying to get their money up. They're just trying to collect some donations. They're just trying to get some clout, and then they can maybe flip it over to something else. And the next thing you know, they got a podcast, right? That's what's going on. Exactly, Sincere. That dude had zero agenda. And for those of you who don't know, this is Sincere Love to God, and this was the brother that was interviewing him on his YouTube channel. Sincere Love to God is the name of the YouTube channel, right? No agenda. So you're gonna see a lot of that. So you got to miss me with the Marianne Williamson stuff when I go to her platform to see what she has to say about reparations that she claims that she's for. Yet when I go there, bum, 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 bum. Come on, man. That's unacceptable. This is unacceptable. Yet once again, and then I'm going to get off this, right? Because I see there's just some more people coming in here, right? But yet, when I go to check out everybody else, the LGBTQ rights section, it's as long as it's as big and long as the Bible, right? With all the words that are up in here. When you go to the women's rights section, same thing. She can tell you all about what she's going to do for the women. I'm going to get off this because I don't want to beat a dead horse. When you come over here to the reproductive justice, once again, everything is here. Everything is on here. So on and so forth, right? Look at all this. Look at all this. Look at all of this. Please. Native American justice, disability justice. Come on, man. It's ridiculous. This is ridiculous. But then you come on her page, nothing. I got nothing for you. Couldn't be bothered to fix the web page up properly for you. All right? She's not serious. She isn't serious. Okay? And another thing too, you got to understand, like I said, it's her running is symbolic. which, like I said, is that's doing a symbolic run. I don't really care about that. If you're just trying to, I guess you're trying to introduce some new things into the, what's the word I'm looking for, the lexicon. Maybe that's not the word that I'm looking for. Yeah, excuse me. But she, you're just trying to throw ideas out there, and I guess that's cool. I guess, But for me, I take it personal. It's just me. I don't know about you, but I take it personal when I see someone that's supposed to be running on a reparations platform, and then or not a reparations platform, but said that she supports this, and I go to your website and I see it's not a priority at all. Couldn't even be bothered to fix up your website accordingly, right? So that's just how I feel about it. And then also too, I want to highlight something else concerning her as well. She's backed by Bernie Sanders, right? Bernie Sanders stands next to her. Bernie Sanders says Marianne Williamson will run a strong campaign and raise very important issues in 2024, right? Now, I'm not going to get into reading this article, but excuse me. Who you stand next to matters, right? Who you stand next to matters. And Bernie Sanders, that's her big homie. That is her big homie. Okay. Oh, I'm still looking at myself on the screen. I hate when that happens. You don't need to see my face. There we go. It's the article that I was trying to show you guys, right? This is the article that I meant to show you guys. That's her big homie. And we all know if you're coming from the tree, we'll say it for lack of better words, excuse me. But if you fall from the tree of Bernie Sanders, like AOC does, then we know all there is to know about you. We know all there is to really know about you, if we're being honest, right? Because we know how Bernie Sanders gets down. Back in 2020, I did so many videos about Bernie Sanders, right? I did so many videos about him and how fake and fraudulent he was, and folks were mad at me, just like there's some people that are mad at me right now concerning this Marianne Williamson, me adding Marianne Williamson into the mix. I know some of y'all are salty about it, and it's okay. If you want to get behind her and support her, that's cool. That's what you want to do. Go ahead. But I'm just telling you what I think is alarming, to say the very least, right? Shout out to JD Informant. JD Informant says Bernie backing Biden, he's trolling MW fake Taz. What is MW? Oh, Marianne Williamson. He's trolling Marianne Williamson. I don't think he's trolling Marianne Williamson, JD Informant. I don't think he's trolling her, but I do. She supports very like progressive agendas, supposedly progressive, right? Just like Bernie Sanders does, who's supposed to be a progressive. So like he's supporting her based on that, like, because she's going to get progressive ideas out there. You know what I mean? Because that's what he meant by when he states here, Bernie Sanders says Marianne Williamson will run a strong campaign and will raise very important issues. That's all she's going to do, is raise very important issues. It doesn't go any further than that. And we all know reparations isn't a priority for it, because we literally just went through it on her website. It's a non-priority. And once again, if she falls from the tree of Bernie Sanders, like I said, I'm going to play a video for you guys right now. Bernie Sanders responding to whether or not he supports reparations. I did multiple videos about him back in 2020, exposing how fake it was. A lot of people, Bernie Bros? Bernie Bros were mad. The Bernie Bros were mad. They couldn't stand me. They hated me. But the truth was the truth. So let me play this video for you right now concerning Bernie Sanders. And this is the tree that she falls from, just like AOC.
On reparations, I asked the question because Elizabeth Warren, Julian Castro, they've indicated they want.
What does that mean? What do they mean? I'm not
sure. How many of you remember that was Bernie Sanders' go-to? Do you all remember that? I'm sorry to cut it off. I'll start it over again. But how many of you all remember that whenever Bernie Sanders was asked about reparations, he would always very condescendingly, in a very douchey way, say, well, what do you mean by that? What do you mean by that? He would always do that. Well, what do you mean by that? He would play stupid and say, what do you mean by that? What do you mean by that? So you see him doing that here. But my apologies. Let me just let this play out, and then we're going to move on to Vivek afterwards. Okay.
Your position specifically on reparations. I asked the question because Elizabeth Warren, Julian Castro, they've indicated they want.
What does that mean? What do they mean? I'm not sure that anyone's very clear. What I've just said is that I think we must do everything that we can to address the massive level of disparity that exists in this country.
He would always get extremely agitated whenever you would ask him about reparations or what he would do specifically for Black Americans. He would get so agitated and upset. It's crazy how he would respond concerning anything that's about Black Americans.
I'll tell you what they mean, because Elizabeth Warren has said black.
Let me rewind that back a little bit. My apologies because I keep interrupting.
Tell you what they mean, because Elizabeth.
Oh my God. He said, I'll tell you what they mean. So he was being condescending, and then the CNN guy said, well, I'll tell you what they mean.
To address the massive level of disparity that exists in this country.
I'll tell you what they mean, because Elizabeth Warren has said black families have had a much steeper hill to climb. We need systematic structural changes to address that. Julian Castro has said, I have long thought that this country would be better off if we did find a way to do that. Reparations.
Well, I agree with what Elizabeth said.
So you would support reparations?
But read what she said. What does that mean? She means, I think, I don't want to put words into her mouth, is what I said.
What a douche. What a douche. I really, really, really don't like Bernie Sanders. And if you all knew like just how many, this isn't the only time he's done this so many times. He's so wildly condescending, specifically when it comes to being asked about anything that's about Black Americans. He gets wildly condescending. And I have so many, I was going to say receipts, right? I have so many receipts on him. It's not even funny. I don't know what it is about that word receipts that I don't like. You know, a lot of people use it. There's nothing wrong with that word if you use it. I don't know what it is about that word receipts that it just sounds, I don't know, maybe it sounds feminine. You know, like I got the receipts and I'm about to spill the tea. Okay. Like that's how that sounds to me. So I don't really like saying receipts like that, but because it just don't sound like, nah, it's not for me. If you say it, that's cool. You know, shout out to everybody that says I got the receipts. You know, that's what's up. You got the receipts, and I mean, I guess technically I got them too. I always feel weird using that word. I'm about to spill the tea on Bernie Sanders. I got the receipts. Okay, but I'm sorry. I'm over here messing around playing. Please hit the like button if you haven't hit the like button already. Please do that for me. That would be great. The 364 of you in here. Please hit the like button. Share this video out if you haven't already. Hit the subscribe button as well if you're new to the channel. And if you have an appreciation for the work that I do here on this channel and the news and information that I put out, please show your support to the channel, you know, via super chat, via Cash App. You can become a channel member, or you can become a Patreon member as well. Channel member and Patreon member for as little as $3 a month. Or like I said, you can Cash App me $1. It all helps. I appreciate it all. So now let's transition over to Vivek. And we're not going to spend too much time on this guy here. Vivek Ramaswamy is his name, right? We're going to get through him rather quickly. But let me pull him up on the screen for you right now.
Vivek Ramaswamy.
Okay. I don't want to play it just yet, but let me pull this up right here. So, you know, if I may, even though Tucker Carlson is going to do it essentially for me, right? I'll give you guys a quick introduction of Vivek, right? Vivek Ramaswamy, he's an Indian. He's an Indian entrepreneur, and he's an author, right? And he's considered an anti-woke conservative political activist. He's anti-woke conservative political activist. So we already know what that means and what he's about off top, right? And he's a second generation immigrant who was born and raised in Cincinnati, Ohio, right? And he's running for president, right, of the United States now. And the reason that I'm particularly highlighting the fact that Ramaswamy is a second generation immigrant from India is because the anti-Black racist dog whistling that you're going to get ready to listen to is precisely the kinds of attacks that Dr. Claude Anderson was talking about and that he predicted way back when he talked about what would happen, when he spoke on the negative impacts of a major influx of immigrants would do to Black Americans, right? We all know that video. We've heard it a bunch of times. Maybe I'll play it for you one more time as a reminder. Do I have it saved on here? Of course I don't. But we all remember the Dr. Claude Anderson video where he talked about the negative impacts that mass migration to America or immigration to America would have on Black Americans. He said you'd be attacked on all fronts, right? By all those who are coming in as immigrants, right? As particularly as you're sliding down to becoming fourth on the population list. And this is what you're getting ready to see. This is what you're up against, you know, concerning Mr. Ramaswamy, right? So let's get into his dog whistling that he's going to do right now.
It's a question that entrepreneur Vivek Ramaswamy has spent a great deal of time thinking about through 2 books, as well as in his latest venture, which he joins us tonight to tell us about. Vivek, thanks so much for coming on.
Thank you, Tucker.
So it does seem like Don Lemon, you know, just a cable host, but this is a perfect illustration of where identity politics wind up when you stray from universal principles that bind us all under the same rules.
Exactly. I mean, we are in the middle of this national identity crisis, Tucker, where we have celebrated our diversity and our differences for so long that we forgot all of the ways we're really just the same as Americans, bound by a common set of ideals that set this nation into motion 250 years ago. And that's why I'm proud to say tonight that I am running for United States president to revive those ideals in this country, those basic rules of the road. Meritocracy, the idea that you get ahead in this country, not on the color of your skin, but on the content of your character.
Oh boy, here we go. Here we go. Everybody loves to just bastardize the words and the legacy of Martin Luther King. Even the Republicans do it when they're running for president. That is amazing. It is amazing. Now, you know, the reason I want to kind of stop it there for a moment is because, like, Ramaswamy, you know, his last name is funny, Vivek Ramaswamy. Ramaswamy quoting Martin Luther King Jr. is very significant in the fact that, like, if you're paying attention, non-Black politicians from Ramaswamy to AOC, right? Doesn't matter if it's conservative or so-called progressive, you know, non-Black politicians from AOC to Ramaswamy, like, they love quoting Martin Luther King, you know, as if his legacy and his life's work wasn't dedicated to the freedom and upliftment of Black America, right? If you let Ramaswamy tell it, Martin Luther King was a right-wing conservative, you know, and if you let AOC tell it, you know, Martin Luther King was a progressive. But the one thing that MLK wasn't was for Black Americans. That's the one thing he wasn't for, if you let them tell it, right? So let's carry on and let's hear what else Ramaswamy has to say, and let's check out some more of this dog whistling that he'll be doing.
The idea that you are allowed to speak freely, yes, to be wrong sometimes, as long as your neighbor gets the same courtesy in return. The idea that the people who we elect to run the government, by the way, are the people who actually run the government. Basic rules of the road. These are the things that bind us together. You and I have different shades of melanin, and you know what I say? So what? That's not beautiful. That is not our strength. Our diversity is meaningless if there's nothing greater that binds us together across that diversity. And the reason that I'm running for president is to revive those ideals. And I believe deep in my bones they still exist, that most Americans still believe in them, but we need to rediscover that. And the only way we can do it is by start talking openly again.
So all right, let's pause it right there for a second, right? When he says he wants to revive these so-called ideals, what ideals is he actually talking about, right? A lot of people, they always talking about they want to, you know, bring back good old American value, and we want to bring back these ideals and American values, and we want to make America great again, and all this kind of. There's always this talk about wanting to go back, right? But what are they talking about when they say that? But specifically, let's keep it specific to Ramaswamy. He wants to bring back these American ideals. What does that mean when he's saying that? Because when you know, the America that he's like describing concerning these ideals, right? And that he's claiming that he wants to go back to is literally an America that has never existed. These fantasy ideals that he's talking about is stuff that never existed. Like, he's stating this while writing on the back of a man who went to his casket stating, "I fear that I'm integrating my people into a burning house." Right? Imagine that. Imagine riding the back of MLK, right? But then saying, I want to go back to good old fashioned American ideals, right? And the thing is like, we pretend like, or they pretend like King never made those kind of statements. I fear that I'm integrating my people into a burning house. People act like that didn't happen, right? And that's one of the main reasons as well that you see when it comes to Martin Luther King, people never, ever, ever, ever talk about the last 3 years of his life. Nobody ever speaks on the last 3 years of Dr. Martin Luther King's life. Because if you look into the actual last 3 years and you listen to the lectures that he was giving, the speeches that he was giving, if you watch his interviews from that time period, particularly the last 3 years of his life, he was doing a lot of that burning building talk. He was doing a lot of that burning building talk. He was talking a whole lot about how, the civil rights, he was a little gullible into thinking that there would be serious change after the civil rights bills was passed, right? But nobody ever talks about that. Nobody ever talks about the last 3 years of King's life. And that's for a very good reason. Now let's get more into Mr. Ramaswamy, and then we'll head on out of here.
I'm not going to ask you any political questions because given my calls in the midterms, I don't understand American politics. So I'm not going to ask you what you do in Iowa or whatever. Other people can do that. Give us the bullet points of what you're going to tell audiences as you embark from here on this campaign.
Translation, what do you have to say to white conservatives?
I think we need to put merit back into America in every sphere of our lives. I mean, merit in who gets into this country. Let's start with that, okay? I think more people like my parents can be a good thing for this country. But people whose first act of entering this country as a law-breaking one, we should say a hard no to that. Not just who gets in, but also who.
I want to stop it right there, right? I want to rewind that one more time in case you guys missed it. Let's play that back and re-listen to what he just said in case you missed it.
From here on this campaign.
I think we need to put merit back into America in every sphere of our lives. I mean, merit in who gets into this country. Let's start with that, okay? I think more people like my parents can be a good thing for this country. But people whose first act of entering this country as a law-breaking one, we should say a hard no to that.
So, thank you, Dunn77, for the super sticker. Your contributions to the channel are very much appreciated. Very, very, very much appreciated. It all counts. Thank you very much. So when Tucker Carlson says, it's time for you to sell yourself to white conservatives, go, right? When he says that, take note to the fact that the first thing out of his mouth is we need to bring more people like my parents into this country. Translation, we need to bring more of my people, Indians, into America. That's what he's saying when he says that. That's what he means. He didn't say anything about their values and what they stood for or like-minded, those who are like-minded. He specifically said, we need to bring in more people like my parents. He's talking about bringing in more Indians, right? That's what he's talking about. Now, this is very important for us to take note of because when Tucker said, okay, go, right? The first thing, the literal first thing out of this man's mouth was literally what he plans to do, right? And what he wants to do and what he needs assistance with in regards to his people. That was the first thing out of his mouth. He prioritized the political interest, right, of his people first. Because he's doing what he's supposed to do. That's what you're supposed to do, right? Which is prioritizing the political interest of his people first. So I can't be mad at him about it. I'm not mad at him about that. I'm not mad about it at all. He's doing what he's supposed to do. And I'm just glad that he let me know what his priorities were off top. Off top, he let you know. I'm going to need this for my people first. I'm going to be doing this first. That was the first thing out of his mouth. All other, politicians should take note, but specifically, particularly us as well, take note how he made it a point to prioritize his folks first. Okay. Now we're almost done with this video. We're going to wrap it up.
Not just who gets in, but also who gets ahead. Decimating affirmative action. It has been a national cancer. One of my top priorities will be to end affirmative action in every sphere of American life.
If that's not the biggest dog whistle, I don't know what is. Okay, listen, check it out. this whole stream has been about priorities, right? For the most part. So for those of you who are coming in late, you know, when I was speaking on Marianne Williamson, just so you get the gist of what I was talking about concerning her, reparations was clearly not a priority based on her presidential election website, right? If you go to her website right now, you can find out everything you need to know about disability justice, about women's rights, about LGBTQIA plus rights. You can find out everything that you need to know about did I say women's already? Oh, Native American justice. She can tell you about what she's doing for everybody. But when you get to the reparations page, it was I'll just pull it up for you right now in case you right. When you get to her reparations page, and I'll get off it because I belabored that point enough. When you get to her page, it's just a default theme from Divi that she couldn't even bother to like write anything on, right? With a portrait of her with her face half cut off. It looks nothing like the rest of her website. The rest of her website is nice and clean, and then you get to the reparations portion, and it just I don't know, what is this? What is this? Priorities, 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 priorities. Where do these politicians, where do their priorities lie concerning who they are, what they're about, and what they want to do, right? So now when you come back to this guy, Vivek, right, Mr. Ramaswamy, let me pull him back up on the screen. Give me just a second.
It's not just merit.
No, I don't want you to talk yet, Mr. Ramaswamy. Hold on. Let me wind that back a little bit, right? But, you know, now on the topic of priorities, right? He's telling you, number one, we need to bring more of my people in here. And then number two on his priorities list, because he's telling you what they are, one of his top priorities is to end affirmative action. According to him, affirmative action has been a national cancer. Okay? This is a dog whistle in which he's stating that he will dismantle and or oppose anything that appears to even slightly look or smell like legislation that would largely help Black Americans, right? Now, mind you, it's already been proven that affirmative action largely benefits white women, but he's too ignorant to understand that, right? Because most people, you know, when they hear affirmative action, immediately they think of Black Americans getting into some sort of high position at a job or getting into college that they're not really getting into a college that they're not really qualified for, right? Or that they're not really qualified to be in. That's what immediately comes into most people's minds, right? Right. This is despite, obviously, as we all know, the actual fact that white women are the largest beneficiaries of affirmative action. It's already been proven already. But just know and understand, anytime you hear a politician speaking down on affirmative action, regardless of what you know to be true concerning affirmative action and who it actually benefits, right? Regardless of what you know, everybody else doesn't have that same understanding or frame of mind concerning affirmative action primarily benefiting white women, right? So when you hear politicians talking like him, talking about affirmative action is a national cancer and that it's one of on my priorities list to get rid of it, they're specifically speaking about you and how they plan on being opposed to you and everything you stand for and whatever may appear to might possibly help you. They're speaking out against you. That's what that affirmative action dog whistling is. Now let's get back into more of Mr. Ramaswamy.
Affirmative action in every sphere of American life. And it's not just meritocracy and who gets ahead.
Ending affirmative action.
Yes.
I mean, our whole government is based on that idea.
Well, the funny thing, Tucker, is this would be an easy thing for president to do. Lyndon Johnson issued an executive order that requires anyone who does business with the U.S. government, that covers over 20% of the U.S. workforce, to adopt race-based quota systems. Any Republican president since Lyndon Johnson could have taken a pen and crossed that out. We haven't done it yet. I think that's the kind of courage we're going to need to muster to go after these sacred.
You see, now, this Mr. Ramaswamy is wildly ignorant, right? But once again, it also goes to show, you know, that he's just trying to, you know, just kind of just simply appease and sell the white conservative base. He's saying that Republicans could have dismantled affirmative action a long time ago, right? Affirmative action has been in place for a long time. And we've had multiple Republican presidents in office, you know, Republican ran House and Senate. We've had that multiple times, right? And the Republicans could have been gotten rid of affirmative action, right? If they wanted to. That's what his claim is. But because he's wildly ignorant, he doesn't understand that those Republican presidents know and understand that affirmative action largely benefits their daughters, their aunts, their nieces, their granddaughters. It largely benefits white women. So why would a Republican president get rid of affirmative action? They know that. They understand that. That's why you never even hear a Republican president, a serious contender like a Donald Trump or something like that, running for office, talking about how they're going to get rid of affirmative action, right? I don't even think, you know, I've heard maybe Ron DeSantis. He might be the first. I haven't heard him say that yet, but I wouldn't be surprised if I heard it out of Ron DeSantis' mouth. Do I believe that he would get rid of it? No, he wouldn't, because he knows. Everybody knows, right? But you never, ever, 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 ever seen a serious Republican contender for president speak out and say anything about affirmative action, right? Because they know who it largely benefits. But Mr. Ramaswamy doesn't understand that. He doesn't understand that. That's why he's speaking the way that he's speaking.
Cows from woke religion in the anyone who does business with the U.S. government. That covers over 20% of the U.S. workforce to adopt race-based quota systems. Any Republican president since Lyndon Johnson could have taken a pen and crossed that out. We haven't done it yet. I think that's the kind of courage we're going to need to muster to go after these sacred cows, from woke religion in the form of affirmative action to this new climate religion, which is completely shackling the American economy and culture. We need to take the most sacred cows of these alternative secular religions, and I'm sorry to say this, take them to the slaughterhouse, because that's what it's going to take for this national revival where we stop apologizing for what it means to be American.
What does it mean when he says, can we stop apologizing for what it means to be American? What does it mean to be American? You see, he keeps doing this referencing to the good old days, how things used to be. Can we stop apologizing for what it is to be American? Let's get back to that. What did he say? Let's get back to American ideals. You hear it all the time on Fox News. Let's get back to good old American values. What are you getting back to? Literally, the further you go back, the worse it gets for you, right? And anybody that looks like you. In case you're confused, I'm talking about black people, right? The farther you go back, the worse it is. So when they're telling you, we got to go back to that, we got to go back to stop being apologizing, stop being apologetic, stop apologizing for being American and proud American. He's talking about, we got to stop apologizing for stop apologizing for essentially for being a racist, Stop apologizing for being opposed to anything that would largely help Black Americans. I mean, yeah, we're all for legislation, anything that largely helps, Native Americans. Doesn't matter how many hundreds of years ago have passed. We're just going to keep giving them billions and billions and billions and billions of dollars and giving them more land and more land and more land and more land, right? Even though they're hundreds of years removed from whatever the United States government did to them, we're going to keep getting behind them. But when it comes to you, no. We got to stop apologizing for being American and be as anti-Black as we possibly can, right? That's what he's talking about. That's what they're all talking about when they say things like that, right? So with him as well, with Vivek, just like Marianne Williamson, Vivek's not going to win anything. Mr. Ramaswamy, is our buddy, Mr. Ramaswamy. He's going to be out of here before you know it. He's not winning anything. For him, this is really just a publicity stunt. Publicity stunt. There we go. It's just a publicity stunt. Just to kind of get his clout up, get his name out there more, say all the things that he knows, the Mzungus like, and just to gain more fans. He is an author. He's written when I saw on Amazon, 2 books, like I said, he's an anti-woke activist, right? So it's just him just bolstering up his brand. That's what his run for president is. He knows he's not going to win. We all know that he's not going to win. That's what his whole run is all about. But I also wanted to make it a point to particularly point that out to you as well. because like I stated earlier, he's the living manifestation of what Dr. Claude Anderson spoke about. What was it, like 20 or some odd years ago, right? When he talked about how as Black Americans slide further and further down on the population list in the fourth place, as famously he said, if you couldn't get anything when you're number 2, you can guess what you're going to get when you're number 4. But most importantly, he spoke on how you are going to be fighting against all these other groups. And you can't sustain that. And everybody knows that, right? And what you're seeing with Vivek is the manifestation of that. He's asked by Tucker Carlson, what do you have to say to the conservatives? The first thing out of his mouth is that we need to bring more of my people over here. So the first thing out of his mouth was prioritizing his people, Indians. The second thing out of his mouth was dismantling any and everything that represents you. And with all that being said, it does it for today's video. Okay, so thank you all for joining me today. Please make sure you hit the like button. There's 408 of you in here right now. That's great. Please hit the like button on your way out. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Share this video out as well on your social media platforms. And if you haven't already, if you found that this conversation was fruitful, if you have an appreciation for the work that I put in on this channel and all the information that I put forth, please show your support to the channel via Cash App, $tdhiphop. You can do so via Super Chat. If you're watching the replay, you can also do so via the Super Thanks button that's next to the share button, right? It's a little heart with a $sign in it. You can become a channel member or you can become a Patreon member as well. And Pamela, I won't say your last name, but Pamela, you always contribute to the channel. Thank you very much, Pamela. I see your Cash App in here. I appreciate everybody's support. I appreciate you taking the time to join me today. And I will see you all next Friday at 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Okay. We got a little bit of a late start today because I had some other things I had to take care of. But remember, every Friday at 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, I go live. That is what, 1, 2, 3, 4, or was it 1, 2, 3? 1, 2, was it 3 o'clock Eastern Standard Time or 4 o'clock Eastern Standard Time? I think. How many hours ahead are you guys on the East Coast? 3 hours ahead, right? So if I start at 1 o'clock, that's 4 o'clock for you all, I believe. Yeah, 4 o'clock for you guys, right? So 4 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, 1 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. Every Friday, I go live. I will catch you guys on the next live stream next Friday. And I will also thank you very much, Blood Crow. That's 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time every Friday. I'll catch you guys then. Peace.